Welcome back to Biomarine Live. It has been a long, long afternoon, and this is, the last live session for the day. And this time we're going to discuss the next generation of aquafeed. So for the people watching us online, please use the hashtag Biomarine and please interact with us. It has been amazing, the answers that we got, all day long. And I'm pretty sure that for this session, we're going to get as many as people that we got for the no vision session. So this is a very sexy topic because, for the last decade, we're talking about, we need, to find new innovative food to feed the fish. And we're still fishing, we're still using the fish meal, the fish oil, and this will come to an end. So I'm going to start this session, give you some facts. I would say that the most important is the first one will be 2020. Norway will stop all imports of soya definitively. This is very important. We know that the world population is growing. The wild catches of fish are stable but will not grow anymore. The fish is a very highly valuable protein source, and more and more people will consume it. The global protein and DHA and EPA is scarce, but there's a huge, I would say, regional differences. And in order to maintain the fish per capita consumption, extra fish must be produced, and the only possible source is aquaculture. Traditionally, the fish meal and the fish oils were the principal ingredient of the diet of carnivores, and the herbivores, of course, need less of these very valuable compounds. So the question will be this afternoon, is there a unique direction to consider, or should we envisage a mix of different solutions based on available source of protein? What would be the main constraints that we'll be facing in Europe and in the fast-growing market like Asia, China, and the Middle East? And on this panel this afternoon, to answer this kind of question, we're going to have a few top experts. So I'm going to start with the middle. Tiago Arias is the technical director for Soja de Portugal. We have on my left Stephen Cran. He's Irish, and is the founder and the scientific and managing director of Ocean Harvest. We have at the far, side of the table, John Sweetman. He's director of Eco Marine, from UK. And Becky Timons, she's the director application and research and quality insurance from Alltech USA. Before we jump into the conversation, and before I give you the floor, Tiago, to explain, what is soja, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself in a few words. Okay? We're going to go and start, with you, John.
Thank you very much. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name's John Sweetman.
John, put the mic, nearby the...
I'm sorry? Can you hear? Okay. My name's John Sweetman, and I'm an aquaculturalist with about 35 years experience in production of several marine and freshwater fish. Aquaculture is my passion, and my mission is really to drive forward the future of this industry, hoping to provide new solutions through the incorporation of technologies, so providing sustainable aquaculture practices, which is what our consumers require. So it's through those technology bases that I've been helping and trying to apply solutions for our aquaculture, feed, and production technologies.
Thank you. Tiago.
So, my name is Tiago Aires. I'm a fish nutritionist. I'm responsible for recipe development in a Portuguese company named Soja de Portugal. And I share the passion for fish with John. Obviously, I agree with all statements you have made and the major concerns we have. And we are here to talk a little bit about it.
Okay? Absolutely. Becky?
Okay. My name is Becky Timmons. My background is chemistry with an emphasis on fermentation. I've been with Alltech for about 29 years. And Alltech is, we look at animal nutrition. We're in 128 countries, so a lot of what I'm looking at is using fermentation to create, unique technologies that can improve the health of animals, specifically things like microalgae.
Okay. My name is Stefan Kraan. I am Dutch, not Irish.
Correct.
But I live in Ireland. I'm a macroalgae expert, mainly where we use to apply these macroalgae, different species, there's about 10,000 species globally, for animal feed and for other applications where we try to solve different issues on health and disease in animals, and fish is one of them. And I see, especially in the fish side, where we already sell this as a feed ingredient, a huge benefit in sea lice, disease in salmon, and increasing omega-3 fatty acid levels in the fish.
Thank you, Stefan. I see also on the first row that we have Oivin, from Nofima. We have Katerina, she was there this morning. Jean-Paul, we have Simon Davis. So we're going to have a great exchange, and I'm going to go back and forth, from the public and the panel. And each time I will need extra expertise to answer some of the question. And if somebody is trying to avoid the question, I'm going to turn the question to you guys. Okay? Good. Tiago, my first question is for you. With a company name that is called, Soja de Portugal, does it mean that you've got the answer for this important question, the future of aquafeed? Well, what about, the title itself? Tell me more about the company.
Let's say the title, the name of the company is hugely misleading because actually we don't like soya at all.
You want to get rid of it?
The name, yes, perhaps, yes, we are going to get rid of it because soya is a very traditional ingredient for animal feeds. And when we start to talk about substitution, we start to realize that fish meal was going to end at a certain time, it was one of the first choice. Of course, it was there, it was readily used, but soy has some particularities that should be looking after carefully. The first one is soy is not produced in Europe. For me, this is the first. Europe is largely dependent on what it needs to import. It consumes, let's say, 98% of the soy it has been consumed, it has been imported, and it is imported from where? From the States, from Brazil, from Argentina, and clearly it is an ingredient that travels, that has a lot of, there's a marked carbon footprint. Also, we have to bear in mind that the states can no longer produce, no longer available acres to produce soy, so they are going to Brazil, and we are using rainforests to produce soy, which is also not a very fine thing.
Not very sustainable.
Yes.
Prince Albert will be mad about this.
Yes. So the other particular issue is that when we start to heavily substitute fish meal for soy, and mainly in salmon, that was the biggest, the first species to be really increased in production, we recognize some problems with soy also. Everybody that worked in salmon nutrition knows what is the in-gut inflammation provoked by soy. So what was the solution of industry? It was simply to treat soy and to take out, okay, not the good protein that it has, but the anti-nutritional factors that promote this I would say inflammation, and which make it's not local, and it requires treatment. So for me as a nutritionist, it doesn't make any sense. Okay, at least in Europe. Okay. I will not say the same in Brazil, for instance, but in Europe, no. So the point is, we have to think locally. What do we have? I'll say it's completely agreed that we have to find new sources of protein.
Can I come back? Allow me to interrupt you. It's very important. You say we should think local. Explain this. For the people watching us, some people are not very used, to our language and the way we're functioning. Why should it be local?
Simply because we are talking of some commodities, food commodities, that travel a lot. Imagine that, let's say, just a figure, 70% of fish meal in the world, or 60 to 70%, is produced in South America. And then it's used globe-wide. The soy at least has to make transatlantic transport because it's produced on the other side of the world. But if we go to fish feed, remember that in Europe we are demanding non-GMO soy. Yeah. And non-GMO soy today comes from two places, or a very small part from France, from a very small, from a small state in southern Brazil, and from India. So it's even further. So when I talk local, is that we have to look around us and see what is available. In particular in Europe, bearing in mind that we don't produce soy, we have to look to pulses, to legumes, to other sources, and be inventive, be innovative. Algae, it's also.
Don't jump to the conclusion. You know, give me some question to ask. You know, yes. If you explain the whole story, there's no point. So yeah, okay. No problem. I'm teasing you. I'm going to ask. You know, you pronounced the title of algae. We're going to go to right away. You know, to this. We have on the panel different type of algae producer. We have microalgae. We have seaweed, and we don't want to forget, you know, the rest of the possibilities. So just in a nutshell, you know, tell me what are the other possibilities if we don't use the seaweed and the microalgae?
Let's say, we have to bear in mind that we have land animal proteins, okay, that it's authorized in Europe today, non-ruminants. We have lupins, we have chickpeas, we have peas, we have it's corn that some corn is produced in Europe. So it's really a matter of imagination. And then we have vegetable byproducts also. And for that, newer approaches like enzyme treatments, like that will help us to deal with ingredients that have some, I would say, anti-nutritional factors. And actually, it's a matter of imagination, looking around and avoiding transport.
And I know that the Portuguese, they have bright imagination. Good. So let me ask you, John, take the mic. Can you draw the picture of, you know, what the fish requirement is in terms of feed? You know, we have different kind of fishes and different kind of animals that, you know, the protein, but in a simple way, you know, what can we feed them on?
Well, I would like first of all by starting just to add one comment on Tiago's comment.
You may.
There. Thank you. The questions of alternative cultivars that we can use in Europe. There are some extremely profound initiatives being made by the Technology Strategy Board, now Innovation UK, in association with Professor Simon Davis there at Plymouth University. And this is a project to look not only at the lupin as a raw material protein source and oil source, but also to see the opportunity of cultivation in larger scale of that particular species in Europe to subsidize, if you like, the use of our soya content that's coming from abroad. So there are tremendous initiatives out there. And this is, I think, something to be recognized. So perhaps later Simon can come up with some of the excellent results.
I have a few questions for him.
Yeah. But to answer your question, I'm not a specialist nutritionalist. Good. However, the trend in aquaculture feeds has been the reduction of fish meal. Who would have believed 10 years ago or 8 years ago that salmon would now be fed on on-growing diets with as low as 10% fish meal inclusion? This was something that we couldn't even conceive some years ago. And that the protein, the vegetable protein concentration has increased enormously. The shift from marine oils to vegetable oils is significant. Today, the diets we are feeding these fish, we have to ask ourselves, are they adequate nutritionally on a nutrient profile? And they probably are. But are they capable of delivering the maximum growth potential that our species has been cultivated to adapt to through selection, breeding, natural breeding processes. Gold standard, old style feeds are still hugely, if you like, hugely capable of delivering more growth benefit than some of the modern feeds in salmon, for example. The trend, of course, is to produce a cultured animal which is both profitable for the farmer and acceptable to the consumer, and in such a way has the right quality characteristics that provide all those excellent benefits we've seen in the past. So it's balanced, it's not one thing or the other. This is a holistic approach which needs the involvement of multiple technology platforms in order to really solve these problems.
That's really interesting, and you opened some gates, and I see that in the audience we have Odd Magne or Rochet from EW Group, so I'm going to talk about selection also because this is very important, and genetic will be also some helpful, answers, to solve the question. Now, coming back, to the big dilemma, so we're going to come back, to the other source of protein, but at this time, I would like, to understand what will be, the solution, microalgae, seaweed. We would like, to start with Becky. Are you ready to jump in and sell me the microalgae as the next future revolution for the fish meal or for the protein source?
Absolutely. There are many, many types of algae, so we could be looking at them as a protein source or, as fish oil replacers. In my case, what I'm looking at is something that would work in conjunction with some of the vegetable proteins. Because if you start replacing fish meal or fish oil with the vegetable meals and vegetable oils, you will not be providing some of the essential fatty acids for the salmon growth and then for the human benefit as well. So what we've been looking at is microalgae that's very high in omega-3 fatty acids, specifically DHA. And we're looking at that to work along with some of the alternative proteins so that you can do, as John mentioned, you kind of want what the whole package is going to be. So you're not probably looking at one solution. You're looking at several things that you can put together that would solve the issue of shortages.
Is that true that you've been working for the last 6 months, maybe 1 year, with our friends from Nofima, and you were about, to release some cutting-edge information? Can we know more about, what is the conclusion of this trial that you ran?
We have been working along with Nofima in an alliance. They've done, I believe, 2 different trials looking at replacement of fish oil with microalgae, and I don't know if Katarina would like to comment.
I'd love Katarina to come back. Just before you run to the stage, Oyvind, you want to say something about this trial? Come here. It's good, and I know that the audience will raise, with Oyvind, it's a good selling value.
Well, thank you for asking me to be here. I would not say anything specific on the trials, but I would like to attribute the approach that the company has taken to document the viability. Because as Thiago was saying, you have to put it into a context and you have to put it into the whole holistic approach, as John was mentioning. And Alltech in this part, with the help of John and Katarina, has having the foresight to develop a program over time that allows us to look at all the aspects from making the feed, from the inclusion of the algae, looking at the profile and composition, and also then, last but not least, looking at the taste and the flesh quality that comes out in the end, which actually meets what you're gonna eat. Will it be off flavor or will it be in flavor? Will it be likable to the consumers, or do you have aspects of that product that actually brings you into a different state where people say, well, very nice that you have replaced the marine oils, but the product tastes like something we would not like to have. And this is actually the holistic approach that you have to take in. We're producing food, and food is what you eat, and what you eat should be healthy.
I agree. Thank you, Oyvind. Katrina, come here. Everybody will know you since this morning. You were my best, vedette. So,
Thank you very much.
Tell us about, the result, from this trial.
Okay, very briefly, we used the microalgae to substitute the parts of the fish oil in the salmon diets, and we actually substituted up to 100%. So we 100%, yes. So we have partly published the results, and soon they will come out also as a peer review publication.
100%.
100%. Of the added oil. There was still some fish meal in the diet, not very much, and so that brings us a small percentage of fish oil. But actually we removed all additional fish oil. So it was a diet made only of microalgae, Altec, microalgae, marine oils, and some plant oils. And we got excellent results, so it's possible. It works.
Is it possible to find the results somewhere, or is it still confidential?
Some results are available, yes. There are press releases, and there is in NOFIMA website, there is an article.
Website, you go online, and so Oyvind, you're going to put that
I want to say one more thing.
Okay.
Yes, so one positive result was that we maintain, even increase omega-3 level in the salmon using same amounts in the diet. So the fish managed to metabolize and utilize the omega-3 in a very good way because of the amounts of DHA and the composition of the oils. So this is very important. But also, it's a part of that we almost never think about it, but who is buying a smoked piece of salmon will know that sometimes the oil may come out of the fillet. And this is because of the increasing lack of saturated fatty acids. So now it's, yeah.
Don't lose our audience.
No, I will not. So the macroalgae, there are both high amounts of polyunsaturated fatty acids, also high amounts of saturated fatty acids, and these have a good technical property in keeping the oils in the fillet. And this is a very positive aspect of, so you avoid wasting actually what you have produced.
Thank you.
Yes.
This is a very, very interesting comment. Thank you, Katrina. Be careful. Now, yes, John, you want to add something?
Yeah, just very briefly. Your work, I believe, Katarina, was presented at the World Nutritional Conference in Australia, wasn't it, earlier this year? Okay, so people can refer to that if they want to.
Did you re-sign a contract for her? Because if not, she will go away, and you're going to lose everything. Be careful, Oyvind. She's good. Good, good, good. Stefan, can we match this, with seaweed?
Well, we can certainly, but what was just described, we already did 5 years ago.
That's something.
But we did this with macroalgae, and we were actually not replacing the fish oil, but we were actually speeding up the production of omega-3 in the fish itself by coupling the alpha-linoleic acids or the omega-6 oils into omega-3 units. And that has just been published 1 month ago in the European Journal of Lipid Research, which I have with me.
So we have two strong directions.
Exactly, because that could work with legumes or with soya or with other things, and we can use then the macro algae to speed up the omega-3 production in the fish itself. We can put the microalgae in the diet to replace the fish oil, and we are actually arrived at our vegetable fish.
So this is wonderful, because I guess we're going to run, very soon into the discussion of the pricing and the production capacity. But before that, Simon, I'm going to call you on the stage, but I need short answers. Okay? Okay, come here.
Just yes or no.
Yes. Come here. Simon, you are my best specialist for fish nutrition. So what is, the risk? Because we are talking about substitution, and we're talking about 100% substitution. What do you think is still feasible in the future, and are we going in the right direction?
Yes, I'll keep it short because it's the end of the day, and I'm too tired to have long sessions anyway. But no, I think you've highlighted some very important issues here, and John has mentioned developments in alternative plant proteins from the soybean dependency. And I think we're making inroads into that aspect, but we need to use these very strategically. We need to look at it from a from the perspective of blending these ingredients to get the best out of them. There's not one solution. There's multiplicity of ingredients here. And just one extra thing, the amino acid profile of these ingredients is vitally important that we get more information on the amino acid composition and the digestibility or availability to different species.
In normal English, what does it mean?
In normal English, we've got to make sure that we optimize the nutritional requirements of the fish. In numerical terms, we need more data on this for efficient feed formulation using computerized software, linear formulation, that kind of thing.
Good. Thank you, Simon. That was a wonderful answer in a very short time. Thank you. I guess, if we're talking about cost, what kind of, what are the numbers? Because, to provide this kind of feed for the industry, is it something that is really affordable, using seaweed, using macroalgae? Becky, you want to start, commenting on this? What are the big numbers?
Yes. And right now we are growing and producing at a large commercial scale, because I know that's going to be, one of the questions too. And yes, we are, and we're increasing our capacity. And that is part of it, is you're trying to get to much larger scale, because if you're talking about replacing fish oil, you would need huge volumes, and larger volumes help bring the cost down. We're not that out of line. We are a little bit more expensive right now, but when you look at ours being a higher level of DHA than you would have typically in fish oil, and the fact that it's actually enclosed in the cell, and so you can actually put it through in the meal and extrude it very stable. You're not going to have any of the oil losses that you would get with post-oil application. So you really can use less than what you would think. I know Katerina had mentioned you got higher levels in it when you're actually feeding the same levels. That is part of that. So it does allow you to change the formulation, and it makes it much more cost effective.
And what is the price we're talking about, per ton?
Per ton?
Yeah.
It depends. it right now depends on location.
Okay.
Yes. You were going to ask the panel if I avoided.
Okay, I'm going to ask the panel. Can you answer that, this question, for the seaweed and
For the seaweed, it's easy. We sell the salmon ocean feed ingredient for 950 euros a ton.
Okay.
Period. And
is it similar to what you have in mind?
No, we would be more expensive, but
Okay.
it's a different use.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. But the one thing, because this is where we have to inform the farmers of what it does, because they only look from the perspective of feed. And anything that brings 1 cent above the price they pay, they are like, not going to do it.
So let me turn back, to Thiago. You're a company, you're selling feed, to the different, farmers. You're using part of the algae, the seaweed, and what will be your strategy? Because when we're listening, to those experts, the price can vary in an important manner. So what will be a solution for an integrator like Soja trying to reach, niche market and trying to get into new development?
There is not one answer to that. Let's say, industry has a very pragmatic approach. We run list formulation procedures, like Professor Davies mentioned, and the idea here is these novel ingredients will compete with standing ones, which means that if I get DHA from algae cheaper than DHA from fish oil, immediately will enter. Of course, the quest here is if we have added value, if we can get something else over it that will allow us to put a little bit higher prices on these novel ingredients. But this is a little bit our daily work. It's just to find the proper pricing, and what the suppliers or the producers of novel ingredients should always take in account is that we are always running these exercises. Okay, a protein source is good if it is balanced, available, safe, and cost effective.
This is very important. what do you think the final consumer is ready to buy? Because Oivin has at a point, he say, well, it's not, you know, it could be easy, you know, to feed a fish, you know, on microalgae or seaweed, but what will be the final test? What will be the final product? And this day, you know, what can we expect? We would like, you know, to answer this question. I guess everybody?
Well, I would like to start
Okay.
commenting on this because exactly what Novima has done and looked at the quality, we actually sent our fish to Michelin star chefs, to the Jamie Olivers of this world, and they actually have tested the fish, and we have got feedback back from restaurants, from God knows what, and they all say, okay, this is better than or equal of wild fish, and they immediately want to switch. This is why we have an M&J Seafood buying this fish. This is why it's going into Waitrose and Tesco. This is why consumers get really a healthy, fatty fish for the omega-3 back on their plate. And this is also what Alltech is probably trying to do, to get back to consumer health, because that is the final issue here. Not on the resources, not on what we produce, because with this you have a healthy kind of product for heart health, brain health, and you save the health system billions.
Becky.
And that is right. We are looking at the health of the animal and then the health of the human. So you're looking for the whole thing. So you want to provide something that is cost effective, that's going to meet all the production information that you want on the fish, and then the health benefits to the human. But at the end of the day, it does have to taste good.
Do you agree, John?
Yes, absolutely. I think the most important part here is the consumer itself. Is this working? Yeah.
Closer to the mouth. Yeah.
Okay. So yes, the consumer, this is the most important part of our value chain. And as such, we see a trend to increased consumption of fish in Europe and generally in the world. And we see this demand for extra aquaculture products. And to maintain that quality, we have to find these solutions, and these solutions are available. So I think the challenge is that we need now a commitment from the whole value chain in order to step up and take on board these
Can you elaborate on this? Because, you know, this is a global statement. When you say a commitment from the entire value chain, be more specific.
I'm talking about farmers, feed manufacturers, retail outlets, producers of microalgae, macroalgae, investment in agronomic structures, all need to step up to be able to say, yes, we can do this. We've shown we can do this. Now we are going to do this, and we're going to promote this to our consumer, because this is the way that aquaculture will benefit in the longer term. And I think that those technical barriers are falling away rapidly. It's now psychological and business-based barriers we need to approach. So let's say partnerships and the growth and development of partnerships in industry are what really need to happen to take these technologies forward.
I think, you know, I understand the point, but I think there's more than that, because we have cultural approach. We have our friends from Saudi, but, you know, they are maybe looking, you know, for different kind of product, different taste, different habits, and we have, you know, different market. You know, US is not the same market than Europe, and Europe is not the same market than Asia, and the regulatory. So how do you deal with all these hassles? You see, Thiago, you want to?
It's a difficult one, but yes, again, context. You must understand where we are. I would typically say that US market will require low taste or
low taste?
Yes, soft taste fillets.
Thanks.
But imagine to sell this kind of fish to a Portuguese, and he probably will look at you and will not eat it.
Yeah.
And we want to see all the fish, the old fish, to check the gills and to check the eyes of the fish.
So if it's working in Portugal, it can work anywhere in the world?
No. What I mean is that there are very marked regional differences.
And what about the fish and chips in the UK? We can sell anything?
Yes, the fish and chips. It has the taste of the oil that was fried.
Okay,
the fish was
okay.
fried, so
we have a point.
But yes, it will require different approaches for different countries, and never forgetting that today we can tailor fish quality. Let's say with these tools, we can increase omega-3 if we want. Honestly, this is actually an advantage. If you compare wild fish to aquaculture salmon, for instance, aquaculture salmon is actually a omega-3 pill.
I know.
And so it's this. But I agree with you. This must reach the consumer, and yes, there must be a commitment in the whole chain of value. It's obvious. Otherwise, I don't think it's fair for the farmer to assume the cost of the solution if he's not able to pass this to the consumer.
So are you working on global strategic partnership alliance to convince the consumer, because this is your best interest, even if you're a competitor on the day-to-day market? What don't we have, this global kind of organization that is say, well, this is the kind of fish you need to eat, and this is what we need, in terms of cost of production and an ingredient that we're going to feed them with?
I can make the easy answer. That is, we'll be glad to do it. We'll be interested to do it. But
the Portuguese way.
Yes. But I don't think this business area is still prepared for it. Everybody's speaking their own language, their own.
But there's a common interest still.
The only thing that is common is that fish today has a natural claim that is a healthy food.
But we all understand that eating fish is like eating the pill, the omega-3 pill. But when you go and you have the choice between, the imported meats coming from any country that is very, very cheap and a good aquaculture fish, when you go to the desk and you have to pay, then people will say, still, it's kind of a very expensive product. What can we explain to the people? How can we change, their mind and say that it's maybe better, to eat twice a week proteins with very high quality than Stefan, you want to comment on this?
Yeah, you have to play at their health. It's simple as that. If you can indeed bring across the message, but this is media, this is communication, to actually explain that if you eat fish and you have these functional ingredients in there, then of course they will see in the long term that they have a benefit there. And then if you only eat 2 times or 3 times a week meat and the rest fish, which is slightly more expensive, but it will help you in the long term. But it's communication, bringing the message out.
Do we have, in the audience our friends from Nofima or from EW Group? Are you still there? Well, we are talking about the genetics, because if we fight, on the side of improving the quality of feed, can we make, those species more adaptable, to receive this fish? Do you want, maybe Katerina, you want to bring some comment on this, and how can we deal on both sides, on the feed fish and the genetics, and what do we need to do? Come here.
Hello again. So good scientists are not supposed to be experts on absolutely everything. So I will briefly try to answer this question. The fish, they carry very old genes. They carry genes from the time that they were actually vegetarians as well. So it is possible to wake up those genes. They are there. So it is, though it's a carnivore salmon, so it has also genes that are dormant, which allows this species and other species to utilize better plant raw materials. So yes, through genetic selection, it is possible to adapt the fish. And processing of raw materials to adapt the materials to the fish needs, of course, this has to be simultaneous. And technology is available.
Thank you, Katerina. Simon, you want to add more information about this? Because I think it's an important... I see Veronica, my guy. Veronica, come sit here, because I'm going to talk about, regulatory. I need you at the front seat. Can you comment on the genetic and the selection?
Yes, very, very briefly. I think there's tremendous opportunities for us to genetically select fish for better growth and for body composition and yield. also for disease resistance. But I think we should add something else too here. We can wake up the genes, we can study the genomic expression, but there's another science evolving very rapidly, that's epigenetics, the relationship between those genes and the environment. So that's a new interplay that we have to learn more about, and that's the epigenetics, how those genes actually work in practice. They may be there, but they also interact with the environment, stress loadings, physiology, biochemistry, and metabolism.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you.
Just before you move on, a comment on that. We tried to solve in 60 years in agriculture something that in agriculture has gone on for the last 5,000 years. And we can't that quickly do what we've seen in the agriculture world in aquaculture, I think. It will take some time. We have modern tools and things go more rapid, but...
John.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment on your statement a minute ago that aquaculture, people prefer to buy meat.
No, it's not what I say. I say when you arrive at the desk and you have to pay the bill, sometimes it's cheaper to buy some meat. But, you know, I'm convinced that, you know, even the best meat in the world will be worse than the, you know, worst fish in the world.
Fine.
So,
no, what I'm saying here is, and I agree with you, actually the trend is to a higher increase in utilization of fish. And the Mediterranean diet, it's been documented as an extremely healthy diet. It's not just the oils, it's the protein and the way that the protein is utilized in the human body. These are exceptional characteristics of this product. So I think the consumer is aware that for a balanced diet, they need already to purchase fish, and they're showing that in the supermarkets. Our challenge is to define and put the limits that we need to supply to ensure that quality, because if fish are sold as chickens, we've lost this game.
Correct.
And we need to maintain that.
And it might be in more branding. I mean, that's where you can make the difference. That's where there's opportunities to brand that you are coming out with a safe, consistent, you know, high level of nutrition type of fish.
But I have just agreeing on John's speech, I have to add I think we will have fish that will behave like chicken, but then we will have the other fish, because when we speak about omega-3, for instance, and we take the freshwater tropical fish like tilapia, like panga, that can thrive without omega-3, and one thing is certain is that the fish body composition will reflect what is eating. If these fish will never eat marine EPA, DHA, they will not have this in their body. So this is I think there is room for everything, but one thing is certain: we have to work on communication, and people, when they go to buy panga or tilapia, they must know that there is not omega-3 there. There's still good protein, but normally it will not be omega-3.
So for our friends listening to the panel tonight, say first you buy fish from aquaculture, and you buy fish that has been fed with the right feed, where you're going to get, you know, all the good things, you know, that we find in the macroalgae or in the seaweed. Yeah, that's the point. Becky, you wanted to add something?
Well, I was just going to say, unless you feed the tilapia a diet that would have it in there, because you can look at a premium tilapia that would have the benefits of the omega-3 as well.
Of course.
Well, continuing on that, there is another issue in aquaculture because we have changed these diets. Sea lice, disease are all issues that are coming and are not going away anymore. So unless we change that diet back in some way with omega-3, this is not going to get away.
It's a good point. Let me turn back to the audience. So Veronica, you're the Executive Director for the Food and Safety Agency in Canada. Come join us on the stage. I have a question for you. We know that it's a big barrier, you know, for people that are trying to develop new products. And what is your, you know, from your point of view, what kind of products are you looking for in terms of final consumer acceptance? What's needed to be done, you know, in terms of macroalgae, seaweed? What can we do and to get, you know, the product into the market?
Thanks, Pierre. Well, from a regulatory perspective and our role at the Canadian Food and Inspection Agency, our primary focus is on safety, and that is safety for animal health as well as human health. We're less concerned about quality issues, although sometimes quality and certainly claims can affect the safety of the product, and this is where our preoccupation will remain. Decisions around commercialization and when to bring a product to market or what products to bring to market, we consider those to be business decisions and ones that we typically would not have an expressive view from a regulatory perspective, because our preoccupation, as I mentioned earlier, is around safety. The other development in the regulatory world, and this is not unique to Canada, is around prevention. So in newer industries, we would be looking for the right biosecurity protocols and other control measures that exist in established industries, so that we can play an oversight role as government to ensure that industry is fulfilling its obligations from a hazard control, risk mitigation point of view. Claims, I will say, is a growing trend, and we've mentioned in other discussions claims being made like by companies in the food industry about their products that they sell, and certainly I think more and more corporations do seem to be going there. And from a consumer's point of view, many people are demanding more information, expect more information about the quality of the product, the nutritional value, its traceability, what's its origin, and I think both industry and government can expect those trends to continue. I hope that's helpful.
Very helpful as usual. Thank you, Veronica.
Just
Thiago, go ahead.
About claims, just to complement information. EFSA approved the claim on CBAS and CBRIM ingestion, in which that twice a week meal intake will reduce the risk of cardiac disease, and you can read because it's published in the EFSA in the EFSA webpage. So it's actually it has been proven and accepted, the omega-3 claim in Europe.
Good. It's almost time to wrap up, and as you know, we are partnering this year with PricewaterhouseCoopers, that we prepare an independent report that will be sent to government and international organization. So I need to pick up your brain, and I need to come up with a conclusion where we can have one strong recommendation on the topic we are supposed to discuss. So what will be the next generation of aquafeed? And I will start with John. Try to find me this sentence that will fit in our report that will explain very clearly what we need to do.
Well, that's a simple request, I suppose. Well, I would say that we need to look at the holistic formulation for the species we're culturing, and in doing so, we need to bring to the table a suite of technologies capable of improving nutrient release and adapting formulas to counteract some of the negative impacts of changing from basically a marine protein source to vegetable protein source. These technologies exist. So it's not a single buzzword, but it's a holistic approach. And that holistic approach needs to draw in all those partners from the value chain so that we can provide sustainable aquaculture feeds for our consumers and increase the growth of this industry.
Thank you. Thiago?
Yes, I will add the context and the cost-wise safety, because food safety is a growing concern, and actually the thinking locally, being imaginative, being using safe, reliable, close to us ingredients, and with this increasing local economy and increasing sustainability, reducing the footprint, carbon footprint of food commodities that you can imagine is huge today.
So produce locally and sell in niche and sell globally.
Yes, produce locally and sell globally. But if you produce locally, you will be profiting of the best conditions you have around you, and you will not, let's say, feed this travel agency that is the food commodity business worldwide.
Becky, it's up to you to wrap up.
Okay. I do think it's going to take a lot of cooperation. It's going to take joining different technologies together. And I think we've shown that we can do that. We've shown that it's successful. So now it is, challenging the different food chain, the groups, to come together and let's make it happen.
Good. Stefan?
Well, most have been said now, I would say. Think local, holistic approach, work together. So in short, a vegetable fish is possible, but it requires indeed different aspects. But I would then add to that consumer acceptance.
Good.
And then if you have that whole chain, yes.
Wonderful. I really want to thank you, and that was a very interesting debate, and I hope that for the people that were following us today, they're more understanding of what is, the future of this aquafeed. But if there's any one thing, I want to insist on is eat the fish and eat the aquaculture fish, and try to use the salmon, all the European species or whatever, but think about, what they have eaten, and if there's no omega-3 and omega-6 in the diet, think about, buying another one, okay? Thank you very much for being on board tonight, and that will be the conclusion for the day. We're going to resume the session tomorrow morning, and of course it won't be live, but we're going to have a nice party tonight, and we're going to come back, on time at 9 p.m. tomorrow morning. Thank you very much, and good evening.